Welcome to the deep dive. So today, instead of digging through articles, we're taking a close look at something a bit different. Excerpts from a YouTube video. It's, the dramatization of scenes from Gautama Buddha's early life.
That's right. It gives us this portrayal of Siddhartha, his youth, how he interacted with his family inside the palace, and those really key first glimpses he got of the world outside.
Yeah, those first moments outside the walls. And our mission for you today, the learner, is to really dive into these scenes. We want to pull out the key insights, understand who Siddhartha was before he became the Buddha.
Exactly. Trying to get a sense of the events, the relationships that sort of shaped his early view of things.
And maybe spot some early clues, those sort of aha moments about his personality, maybe the seeds of his later thinking.
Yeah, the very beginnings.
Okay, so let's get into it. The video kicks off with Siddhartha's return. It's like a big celebration after he's shown some great skill, maybe in martial arts or something.
There's definitely a celebratory feel, and his father is just beaming with pride. He even says something like, "Today in Kapilavastu, I have seen the image of the future emperor."
Wow. Okay. So high expectations right from the start.
Definitely. But then almost immediately you see Devadatta, and his jealousy is, well, pretty obvious.
Right. So that contrast is set up early on.
It really is. It shows you this duality in his world. Huge privilege, praise, destined to rule Kapilavastu.
His home city.
Right. But also this undercurrent of rivalry. Not everyone's just celebrating him, It kind of sets the scene for conflict later on.
And that expectation, the future emperor thing, that becomes a real sticking point later, doesn't it? As his own ideas start to shift.
Absolutely. It's a core tension.
And then there's that scene showing his sensitivity, the swan incident.
Yeah, the wounded swan, shot by Devadatta.
And Siddhartha's reaction is immediate. He wants to heal it, protect it, which is completely different from Devadatta's, more aggressive vibe.
It really stands out. It's more than just being kind, isn't it? It feels like it's foreshadowing that core Buddhist idea of compassion, of nonviolence.
Even as a young man.
Yeah, like this deep empathy for living things, rejecting pointless suffering. It makes you wonder, was that just him? Or were there other influences, even in that sheltered palace, that maybe nurtured it, despite all the hunting and, well, royal life stuff?
That's a really good question. Because his upbringing was so incredibly sheltered. Gopa, his wife, she's surprised he's literally never been outside the palace grounds.
Never. Can you imagine?
Right. His whole picture of the world is just from books and stories.
Yeah.
And he's about to have his first proper contact with his people during this big procession they've planned.
And the planning for that is intense.
Oh yeah. Fragrant flowers everywhere, only happy faces allowed, nice music. Anything that might possibly upset him is, cleared away.
That controlled environment is so key, I think. His first grasp of reality is shaped inside this bubble. And if you think ahead, you can sort of see how that lack of real-world experience might make his later encounters with old age, sickness, death, how they'd hit him so much harder.
Exactly. Amplified because it was so new, so raw.
Yeah.
And that procession, well, it doesn't exactly go to plan, does it?
No, not at all. Suddenly there's this commotion, a woman screaming.
A hawk snatched her child. Terrible.
And Siddhartha goes, no hesitation, ditches the whole carefully staged procession to help, even though people are objecting.
You forget the plan, forget the image, someone's suffering.
It's another one of those moments, isn't it? It just tells you so much about his core character. Compassion overrides everything else. Royal duty, protocol, none of it matters when someone's in distress.
That immediate action is striking.
Definitely.
And then the cheetah incident, the one that attacked the child.
Right. He finds the injured child, gives first aid, though, apparently. That gets attributed to Yashodhara later. Interesting detail.
Yeah. But the key thing is the cheetah itself. He insists they capture it alive. You shall not kill it. We will capture it alive.
His focus is totally on the child's well-being, not revenge on the animal.
Exactly. Which, again, is pretty unusual for that context, you'd think.
Very. And then his father's reaction. It's complicated.
How so?
Well, initially he's proud, right? His son saved the child, heroic stuff. But then, almost in the next breath, he's worried about appearances. A future emperor must always be mindful of his image.
There it is again. That conflict between being a compassionate person and being a king, or what a king is expected to be.
Exactly. Strength, authority, maybe ruthlessness versus empathy. But the ordinary people, they seem to love Siddhartha for his reaction. They're cheering him.
So he connects with them on that level.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it hints at a different kind of leadership, maybe?
But that tension with royal expectations, it just keeps building. And speaking of conflict, Devadatta.
Ugh, Devadatta. He comes back with the cheetah, but it's dead.
Deliberately going against Siddhartha's specific instruction.
Totally. And he argues, it tasted human blood, it's too dangerous, had to be done.
But Siddhartha pushes back, doesn't he? Philosophically.
He does. He questions the whole idea of killing for sport, or even out of fear like this. He defends the cheetah, says something like, "It is not a man-eater, we make them so."
Wow. That's pretty radical thinking for a prince whose peers probably hunted all the time.
It really is. It's not just about this cheetah. It's him questioning basic societal assumptions about life, violence, and our relationship with nature.
And you can see how this thinking starts to pull him away from the whole royal scene. He's apparently absent a lot, seeking solitude.
Right. Off contemplating, spending time with this teacher figure, Acharya Kona.
Yeah, Acharya Kona. We see him talking with Gopa, Yashodhara, who's waiting for him maybe to go somewhere.
To Devadatta, I think, her parental home.
Right. And he's wrestling with these huge questions internally. Who am I and why am I here? That really hits home, doesn't it?
Yep.
This deep unease.
It really does. He even tells her he won't cause suffering, and then says, "I'm never alone. My questions are always with me."
Oof. Heavy stuff for a young man.
Tells you everything about his inner world at this point. He's already preoccupied with these fundamental existential questions.
And the advice he gets seems to be, well, basically, lighten up. Don't take life so seriously. Pay attention to your family.
Yeah, it's that pressure to conform again, come back to the expected path.
Yeah.
But he seems to be drifting further from it.
And those signs, the sort of seeds of renunciation, they become clearer. Like the scene with his father and the sword.
Ancestral sword, yeah.
And Siddhartha literally can't bear its weight. He finds it too heavy.
And his father's just so disappointed. Your education has made you so weak that you cannot bear the weight of your ancestor's sword.
It's such a powerful symbol, isn't it? His disconnect from that warrior king tradition.
Absolutely. And another symbol, the statue of the cheetah in his room.
Oh, right. Why is that significant?
Because it represents the pain he felt about the whole incident. It's a constant reminder of suffering, apparently. It shows how deeply that empathy runs, how affected he is by these things. It's not just a passing feeling for him.
It stays with him.
Exactly.
And his father's worry just grows, especially about this connection with Acharya Kona and Siddhartha's interest in meditation.
Yeah, the father sees it clearly. He says Kona, knowingly or unknowingly, is taking Siddhartha away from the throne of Kapila Vastu.
He fears he's losing his heir to this spiritual path. He wants a king, not a renunciate.
It's the ultimate conflict for the father, and for Siddhartha too, this path he feels drawn to versus the destiny everyone expects for him.
And then there's Yashodhara's perspective. We see her noticing how distracted he is, how preoccupied with that injured creature.
And then she decides to leave, doesn't she? Goes back to Devadatta.
Yeah, feeling neglected, basically. And she leaves this message for him. It's almost a challenge, isn't it? Say that Gopa remembers him very much at the time of farewell. Like,
Well,
are you even going to notice I'm gone?
Yeah.
It adds that personal layer, the impact his inner journey is having on his closest relationship. It's not happening in a vacuum. There's a cost.
So, wrapping this part up,
Yeah.
what we're seeing is this person, Siddhartha, who has this incredibly deep, innate compassion. He's really shaken by suffering from a young age.
And he's already questioning things. Tradition, violence, the expected norms. He seems increasingly detached from that royal life he was born into.
Despite all the privilege. And there are these strong pressures pushing him back, that family, duty, the image of a king.
But the real takeaway, I think, is how clearly you can see the roots of his later philosophy. Nonviolence, empathy. It's not something he just discovered later. It seems to be right there in these early experiences.
The swan, the child, the cheetah, his reactions are consistent.
Definitely. A deeply compassionate core is already evident.
So for you, the learner, the thing to grasp is how these early moments, these conflicts inside him and with his family, they really set the stage. Even within this gilded cage of a palace, those huge questions about suffering and meaning took root.
It shows that these fundamental human questions can arise anywhere, under any circumstances. Privilege doesn't insulate you from that deeper search.
Absolutely. Which leads to a final thought to chew on.
Go on.
How different might things have been if Siddhartha hadn't had those direct encounters with suffering early on? Or maybe if the royal expectations hadn't been so rigid?
That's interesting. How much was it His innate nature versus the specific experiences he had versus the societal box he was supposed to fit into.
Exactly. What does that tell us about how anyone's destiny is shaped? That mix of inner self, external events, and what society demands, especially for someone who ended up changing the world.